Hey guys, this is Nate with BleepinJeep. Today we're finally going to upgrade the front sway bar on our TJ. Ooh. So let's talk about why you would want an aftermarket sway bar versus your stock sway bar. Now what this does is it gives you the ability to have a factory ride when you're going down the street, but then you can disconnect your sway bar links off-road and make it to where you don't, make it to where your wheels can independently climb up obstacles and give you a lot better ride quality off-road, especially in big rocks and stuff. So this is good, but this is better for a number of reasons. You don't have to get out to disconnect it. This is adjustable in how stiff it is on road and off road, so you have the ability to fine tune it a little bit. And since you're not fully disconnected off road, it gives you that little bit of extra tension side to side whenever you're doing those, you're side hilling and you're doing things like that. So your body's not going to roll near as much. But then whenever you go and you're doing a bunch of obstacles, really big rocks and whatnot, it's still going to allow that flex side to side. It's just going to have a little bit of extra tension right there, you know. So it's going to increase your ability to go on and off road with very little sacrifices. So let's go ahead and let's start putting this on the Jeep, and then I'm going to take it for a test drive and just kind of see how it feels. We're using the same company for the front sway bar as we did for the rear. We're going with the Currie. I was extremely impressed with the quality of the rear sway bar, and so I of course had to stick with the same brand, stick with what you know, stick with what you like. So there's a number of different reasons that these are better than the factory sway bar, and today we're going to go over those and decide whether or not this is something that you'd want to do yourself. So check it out. This is what it looks like when you start to assemble some of these parts and pieces. Basically it comes with 4 of these end links, and you thread them into these 2 threaded bars. Pretty simple. And then these are going to connect to the sway bar arm basically, and then this is going to connect to the sway bar itself. Now this is basically a torsion bar like you used to see in like S10s and I think some Toyotas. A lot of different IFS rigs came with something made out of a similar material, and so they did is they spline the end of it, and then these splines made up with the splines that are on the end of this arm, and then you kind of just bolt it all down, and it's pretty slick. And they basically designed it to where it uses these bushings, so you can put this in. There's a tube on the front of the TJ that's stock. You just put this in the tube, then you put the bar into this bushing, and then you just start assembling it all from there. So the TJs come from the factory with this Crossmember. It's basically just like a big tube that goes across from one side to the other. Pretty convenient spot to slide the bar through and then put these bushings on, and then you're not like welding any tabs or anything like that. So it's a pretty smart design to build it to where it goes into this factory Crossmember. I built this bumper, and so when I built it to where it goes over that factory Crossmember. And so what I had to do is take the plasma cutter, cut this out, and then just kind of like ream it to make it to where it's the same shape as this. Well, the game plan is going to be, I'm going to use a mallet. I'm going to tap this in the hole, and then I'm going to take this rod. I'm going to place it in there to where the rod is hanging out the other side a little bit, and then I'm going to place the other bushing in, tap that in with a mallet, and then just kind of balance out the shaft to where it's even on both sides. So we need to install this in the middle of your suspension and travel. That's the way it's designed to be. I bet the middle of my suspension travel is going to be level. This is set up to where it flexes up just about as much as it flexes down. So I think that this will work fine for us, and it's a good starting point. They made these links in a way that you can adjust them because it's left hand on one side, right hand on the other, so you can just kind of fine tune and adjust after it's been installed without having to take it all back apart. So really what you need to do is install it in a way that you think is going to work, go out and test it, and if it doesn't, adjust it to where it does. They make different length rods, so you can get longer ones or shorter ones depending on what your application is. This Jeep has a 4.5-inch lift, so I would be willing to bet that this length is going to be pretty common size for a lot of people. So I think that this, and the way this comes from the factory, is probably going to work great for my application. So now let's continue to assemble the rest of the nuts, bolts, and washers and whatnot. Now we just got to finish these last couple of nuts and bolts and we're all done. We got that one. And then we have one more on this side. I would definitely recommend that after a week or two of driving this, go through and retorque all these down, because there's going to be a little bit of stretch. So, especially if you're going to do a wheeling trip or two, it's going to put a lot of stress and strain on this suspension setup, which it can handle, but when it's constantly trying to, it's putting pressure on that bolt, taking it off, putting pressure on it, taking it off over and over and over every single bump, it's going to try to loosen a lot of this up. So with any suspension component, you want to definitely check every once in a while to make sure it's still tight. I bet that when you tighten this bolt down, I bet it's really tight on those splines right now, but with all that force going back and forth, it's probably pretty common that something like this would come loose. So again, I would definitely double and triple check that, especially before big trips or something like that. It's all done. It's been installed. It's good to go. Let's go test it out. So here's what it looks like when you're going up an obstacle like this. You can see that it's kind of hard to tell on the camera, but the whole thing is sloped this way. Now, since I have the rear anti-rock and the front anti-rock, the rear anti-rock is keeping the Jeep pretty stable, and the front anti-rock is keeping the Jeep flat, even though it's having to climb. So it's letting one side go down, it's letting the other side go up. Since it's putting weight on the bar, it's actually going to be pulling down on the other tire, so I'd be willing to bet the traction is going to be better. Well, I hope you guys learned something today. Wanted to go through and show you the installation and then use, and then basically the practical reasons to why you would upgrade to something like this. Thank you, Currie, for sponsoring this video. The product's fantastic. If you want to save money on products like this, we have a bunch of discount codes on our website. So go to BleepinJeep.com, and there's a whole list of companies that we work with that give us discounts and stuff to people who watch our channel. So make sure you check that out. Support us on Patreon. If you learned something from the video, please give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to our channel. We've got, when I checked yesterday, it was 893 videos. So there's a lot of content on here if you're new to the channel. Anyway, we'll see you guys next time.